Definitely that was the case. We had a lot of people who thought that it was a terrible idea. In fact, when we first came up with the business idea, we went to one of the intermediaries and we asked them, we said, hey, listen, we're thinking about starting an insurance company, using technology and stuff. And he just told us, he said, look, this is a really stupid idea, like why would you want to get into an industry that has so many big players, and a lot of big South African players in the local Botswana market, Thankfully, we've kind of grown since then and we've proved the premise wrong. And we are currently, I think, the third largest insurance company in Botswana.
Growing up in a small town in Botswana during the 1980s, Arjun saw poverty not as a distant issue, but as a daily reality for the people around him. That experience left a lasting mark and cultivated a lifelong commitment to financial inclusion. With more than 95% of Africans lacking access to basic financial services, he set out to build a company that could challenge the status quo. His venture, Alpha Direct, reimagines what insurance can look like in Africa. Simple, accessible, affordable, and powered by the latest in cloud computing, AI, and big data. Alpha Direct's mission is to serve the massive and underserved market of uninsured Africans, leveraging technology to deliver tailored insurance solutions that meet people where they are. This is my Entrepreneurship Journey podcast. I'm Difuo, and welcome. Arjun, welcome to my Entrepreneurship Journey podcast. You are welcome here. I couldn't wait to meet with you and your group at Alpha Direct to discuss what Alpha Direct has been up to and what you have been doing in Botswana in the insurance spaces using technology. I can't wait for this conversation. Welcome.
Thank you, Lifo. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you and have this exciting conversation with you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. In 2014, you started this insurance company, Alpha Direct, which is backed by technology in Botswana. What convinced you that technology could disrupt this conservative industry of insurance?
Yeah, thank you. It's a great journey, actually. So around 2014, my brother and I founded Alpha Direct. And, at the time, the insurance industry in Botswana was very traditional. Everything was intermediated. There was hardly any technology being used. People were using old, mainframe system, very old systems, like DOS-based systems and stuff. And we saw a opportunity in the market, really, to disrupt the market. And that was really the idea, to say that, is there an easier way to do this? Is there a simpler way to help more and more Africans or Botswana get insurance? And that was really the premise by which we formed the company. The main thing that convinced us that this could be done was we looked at other markets. Like both my brother and myself did live in the US. And we kind of saw a lot of the American insurance companies like Geico and Progressive. And we saw what they had done in the insurance space using technology. And we figured that that same premise could be applied to the African market as well. And that was kind of the main thing that convinced us that technology could make things faster, simpler, easier to use.
Yeah, I guess you and your brother were brave because, as you say, you saw this model being used in the US and you thought, okay, we'll take it to African markets, and we are convinced this would work. I mean, that would be brave, because usually when you bring something new, it can be a bit daunting, and people would say, "Do you think this will work? I mean, this is not the US, you know?"
No, very, very true. I think there were a fair share of skeptics. Definitely, that was the case. We had a lot of people who thought that it was a terrible idea. In fact, when we first came up with the business idea, we went to one of the intermediaries and we asked them. We said, "Hey, listen, we're thinking about starting an insurance company, using technology and stuff." And he just told us, he said, "Look, this is a really stupid idea, like why would you want to get into an industry that has so many big players, and a lot of big South African players in the local Botswana market. Thankfully, we've kind of grown since then, and we've proved the premise wrong. And we are currently, I think, the third largest insurance company in Botswana, third or maybe fourth.
Yeah. Wow. And I was going to ask, how has the journey evolved since then? And now you're telling me you are in the top 5. That is amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the journey has evolved in a lot of ways. We were originally funded through friends and family. We raised capital from people we kind of had contacts with. We went to some family friends. We raised some capital from them. We reached out to people who knew the fact that both my brother and I are chartered accountants. We're US CPAs. We have business experience in the past, and we convinced them that, listen, this is a safe investment. But raising capital that way was not sustainable. So
Yeah.
I think the biggest pivot that happened to our journey was getting our first check from venture capital funds. Most notably Launch Africa Ventures. And Launch Africa Ventures really supported us in a big way when we did our first VC round.
And could you say your experience and going to school abroad and your experience there also shaped you into, I don't know, being brave to say, okay, listen, we have bootstrapped so far. We can't go further anymore. Now let's look for venture capital, access to such things, or to even know this exists and this is what we have to do in order to get in. Could you say your experience with being in abroad helped shape your next going into sit rounds and seeking investors?
Before you wouldn't believe it, so both my brother and I are both Botswana. We grew up in Botswana, and growing up in a small country without an entrepreneurial ecosystem makes it really difficult, because you don't know all these things, right? You don't know how to raise money. You don't know that you can go to venture capital funds. You don't know how to do a pitch deck. So we kind of suffered the same problems that a lot of young entrepreneurs face in South Africa as well, in the sense that exposure to venture capital, to VC ecosystem, to seed rounds, to all these things, it's very nascent. And initially what we did was like I said, the only thing we knew was, okay, you go to people who have money and you ask them for money and to invest in your business, and that's kind of how we started the journey. But one of the good things is, because of our exposure to the US, we had been exposed in a small way to some of the Silicon Valley startups, and we had heard about Facebook, and we had learned a little bit about how they raise capital, but we didn't know that those same ecosystems existed for African companies as well. So we didn't know that there was a VC ecosystem that existed on the African continent. And honestly, in all honest facts, in 2014, there really wasn't much of a VC ecosystem at the time. So it's only a little bit later that a lot of funds started on the continent, and we were able to raise funds, I think around 2017, 2018-ish. that was kind of when we did our first round, our
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pre-Series A round.
Yeah. And when you say that 2017, this is not far back, like, in the past, this is fresh, this is new. And it also encourages us and other people are listening to know that you can start anytime, you can start anywhere. And the beautiful thing with technology is these things are there. We just have to be brave, like you say. You did went into the insurance space, which is known to be traditional, and applied a different model. Thank you for sharing that with us, Arjun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and we use the word technology and all of that. I know that in Alpha Direct, one of the models you use is data analytics, and you use this to skip brokers so that people can have immediate access. How does that work?
So I think the important thing was, when we started off, we were a bit naive in the sense that the premise was that, you could build a direct insurance company without intermediaries. And I don't think that really is necessarily the case if you look at how we've built the business right now. So the way we are right now is we do use brokers, we do use intermediaries, but we use them for very large, complex policies, right? So if you're talking about big corporates and stuff like that, we do work with broker partners. And yes, but the way we do it is we use technology to enable them to make it easier for their journey. So when our broker partners work with our competitors, it takes typically about, maybe 3 days to get a quote. It can take 2 days to 3 days to get a quote. It takes them, sometimes people forget email, so they might email one of our competitors, and the competitor won't even reply back to the email because somebody's not manning the email. So we use technology in a big way where we built our own custom system, our own core system using a software development team. We have an in-house software development team. We use our team to effectively build our core system called Graphite. And what Graphite does is it fast tracks the onboarding of new policies for our broker partners. So our broker partners can effectively just give us an Excel spreadsheet, and then within a matter of minutes or in a few minutes, we can actually have a preliminary quote done. Ratings, we use technology and algorithms, data analytics, if you will, or algorithms that we have to calculate how to price different risks. So if somebody comes and says, listen, if the broker comes to us and says, listen, we are insuring a thatched roof, a house with a thatched roof, our algorithms know that a thatched roof has a higher risk of fire than, say, a brick building with normal roofing, right? So it'll rate it with a slightly higher premium, for example. So we use data analytics, and we use actuarial teams to develop these models on how to price these kind of different risks. And our technology effectively fast tracks those processes so that our broker partners can get their quotes in maybe half or a quarter of the time that our competitors take. And so they become more incentivized to work with us as well. But in addition to that, there are small policies, like, for example, microinsurance policies, individual policies, like, for example, you want to insure your one car, right? Maybe you don't want to go through a broker. Maybe you just want to take 5 minutes and you want to do it electronically online, right? So that's where the technology and data analytics comes into play, where we are able to build a pricing model where we can very accurately predict how to price different risks for different people. So if you are for example, a male, 25 years old, you drive a Volkswagen GTI, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We look at all these different factors that correlate to your life, and we're able to price those risks exactly. And the interesting thing is, around the time that we launched this, we were one of the first on the continent. In fact, I think even in South Africa, there were only maybe 1 or 2 people that had digital insurance, where you could buy your insurance online at the time, because we launched it pre-COVID, effectively. Before COVID, we had digital onboarding.
And what other products do you offer by leveraging tech? You just explained this beautifully, that if I just want to insure my one car, I can just go online and do it in 10, 15 minutes without all the hassle of back and forth with paperwork. And which other products do you offer in this lower market segment, if I can put it that way?
Yeah, absolutely. So we look at financial inclusion as being a really important part of our ethos. We want to include more and more people in the insurance fold. It's really unfortunate, less than, Africa as a continent has one of the lowest insurance penetration rates of any other continent on the planet, and the reason for that we found was threefold. It has to do with accessibility, affordability, and simplicity. So we have designed several products that kind of help more and more people who maybe do not buy products that are designed for Western markets or European markets, and that are tailor-made for the African market. So some examples of that would be cell phone and device insurance. A lot of people, small businesses, do a lot of their work and their businesses on their mobile phones, right? And if you lose your phone, or your phone gets damaged, it becomes really difficult for a small business owner to kind of continue doing what they're doing. So for that reason, we found that a cell phone is a very important asset for people to insure. So we offer cell phone insurance. We offer, more affordable options of insuring for life. So, for example, accidental death and disability. We do offer their traditional products like legal insurance as well. We offer hospital cashback, so hospitalization. So a lot of people, if they get hospitalized, you have no choice but to go to government hospitals, and which can be really, really difficult. So we launched a hospitalization cashback plan. So it kind of helps people for loss of income, or if they want to go to a private healthcare institution, they at least have some kind of affordable way to get cash for the period that they're hospitalized, which can help to offset those bills.
I read on your website, I think I was one video I was listening to, and you also make use of gamification. I found that interesting, intriguing. How do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So gamification, just to kind of give an idea for people who may not be aware of what exactly gamification is. Gamification is effectively where you encourage people to,
Right.
You kind of encourage behavior, any kind of behavior that you want to encourage, through something that's fun, that people can be gamified to do, right? So a good example of that is, we looked at companies like Discovery in South Africa that, had launched the Discovery rewards through Vitality, right? And it was such a brilliant idea. I mean, you can effectively encourage people to work out. You can encourage people to live healthier lives, to eat healthier by giving them rewards, right? So we are effectively kind of looking at that as kind of the future for the insurance industry. And the way we do it is we don't target the exact same demographic that Discovery targets. Our target demographic is really the marginalized, person who's kind of new to insurance, who's never had insurance before. There's not really, kind of where the learning curve is a little bit steeper, right? It also comes with its own risks. The fraud risk is a lot higher in that segment. There is the risk of non-payment that happens a lot as well. But we believe that gamification is a way to encourage people to pay their premiums. It can be used as a way to encourage people to lead, safer lives. So there's less accidents. There are less, yeah, less incidences that result in a claim as well. So really what we do is we're looking at rewards as kind of a reward
Yeah.
ecosystem, similar to Vitality, but kind of tailor-made for the mass market, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. I found that interesting because it, like how you say, it's gamified so that we participate, as you mentioned, with the discovery vitality. We want to be at a certain level, you know. So it's a brilliant idea. Because also, like you say, it also encourages behavior. Maybe I wouldn't want to speed so much because maybe my points will go down, you know, stuff like that. So I found it so brilliant now in insurance space.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And are there any plans in the horizon to expand to other African markets outside of Botswana?
Yeah, so absolutely. Our focus really is to expand beyond Botswana into South Africa. So South Africa is our next target market. Um, the South African market is obviously very, very competitive. It would be very difficult and foolish of us to kind of go toe to toe against the big insurance players in the South African ecosystem. Um, but what we're trying to do is really to carve out a niche in an area that we excel in, which is kind of the traditionally underinsured and uninsured. Um, and that's an area that we are putting all of our focus and attention onto. The other countries that we'd be looking at is probably Namibia as well. There's a lot that's happening in Namibia with the recent discovery of oil and natural gas and stuff. We think that Namibia is going to be a great country with very good disposable income as well.
Okay, interesting. And when you look at the South African market, as you've mentioned, that you'll focus on your niche market because they are already a pre-existing big players. Any other challenges you foresee in the SA market compared to Botswana?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it would be very naive of us to assume that the South African market is exactly like the Botswana market. It is not. Definitely, the South African market is a lot more complicated. We do feel that the risk of fraud is higher in South Africa than it would be in Botswana. That's what we've seen, so far. We also do feel that in some areas, if you take like in the townships and things like that, the competition for attention is a lot higher. So, in the township space, you have a lot of people, like you have Capitec, you have, Capitec selling their banking products. You have, even in the insurance space, you have Avbob and Clientele Life also kind of pushing their insurance products there as well. So we think that there is definitely a competition for attention. Even though we don't operate in the same spaces as them, we've all got our niche products and stuff like that. But there definitely is a competition for attention that happens, and we see that as being something that we need to learn to overcome.
Yeah, interesting. I was reading this IBM Institute for Business Value report, and in it, they were talking about AI and emergence of AI, and they were reporting that there are some skills gaps in the emergence of AI, such that 4 in 10 insurers have claimed that they do not have the tech skills and expertise and to successfully implement AI systems in their businesses. But you are an early adopter of technology in the insurance space here in the African market. Do you see your team a step ahead in that regard?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the interesting thing about technology in business operations is that it becomes a flywheel of sorts. And when you say a flywheel, what you mean is that if I start, the sooner you start on the journey, the more of an advantage you have in the next step of the journey. And because you have an advantage in the next step, your advantage becomes exponential with each stage. So, for example, we were the first people to introduce digital insurance in Botswana. And as a result of that, we already have the technology and the systems, the back end technology and systems where we don't use paper, for example. Everything is completely digital already. We have optimized business processes, right? So we don't have 10 steps when the same thing can be done in 3 steps, right? And all of these things become essential when you go on the AI journey, right? So, for example, if I'm still getting claim forms in paper format, I now need one person to sit and scan that form, right? If I'm getting a proposal form, like, when somebody fills out their proposal form to onboard, if that's still being done on paper, then I now still have to scan that, right? So because of that human process that you're adding in what could have been a much more optimized process, it becomes difficult to adopt AI, because now I need to scan that, or I need to have someone manually enter that stuff into a computer, right? Now, the second thing is, if my computer systems are legacy systems, they're old systems, you may not be able to integrate them via API to technology, to say, Chat GPT, or with OpenAI, or with Claude, or any of these kind of technology platforms, the AI platforms, because your legacy system doesn't allow for that, right? So with each step of the way, because we were already miles ahead, it makes it much and much easier for us to integrate AI into different business processes. And we've already started integrating AI into a lot of our business processes as it stands.
That is amazing. And what are your thoughts about integrating agentic AI? I read somewhere that this can also speed claims processes and reduce manual errors and propel speed. I know these things, as we mentioned them, like you say, you would now need someone to manually scan something, whereas you can do it twice as faster or 5 times as faster. It's a good thing for the customer, because when you claim to something, you expect the claim to go through and to come back positively without errors and all of those things. In the same vein, there could be someone who could be, doing the paper heavy work that you mentioned that would probably not have that job, but that is not your business model. So what are your thoughts on this?
So it's actually, it's a brilliant question, to be honest with you. And we kind of have, and I don't think it's a big secret, because I think everyone kind of knows that this is possible, but nobody really has the ideas on how to make it happen, right? Now, can you imagine a world where you as a customer go on a website, you submit a claim online, right? You just say, I'm filing, or you have a mobile app, for example, and you say, okay, I'm filing a claim for a lost bicycle, right? And you say, I lost my bicycle, blah, 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 blah. And then it just asks you, okay, take a photograph of the police report, right? And you just take a simple photograph of it. And then within 10 seconds, you get a message saying your claim is approved. And then 5 seconds later, the money is in your bank, right? That is really the holy grail of what we're trying to accomplish. And it is very possible to do that through agentic AI, right? And the way you would do that is really by integrating your front-end systems to maybe like an LLM to process the document verification processes. You could have a rules-based system that is loaded on an LLM, where the LLM, like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, knows exactly in what instances to allow a claim and in what instances not to allow a claim, based on the policy wordings that you load for it, right? And in effect, what then happens is the large language model is able to think, quote unquote, think about the claim, because it already has all the data, and it's able to make a decision within 10 seconds as to whether you have a payable claim or not.
That is amazing. And Arjun, you are a Harambean fellow. First of all, can you tell us about that? What is Harambean or Harambe, and how did that come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the Harambe, the Harambean program, or they're actually known officially as the Harambee Entrepreneur Alliance. It's the name Harambee actually stems from, it's a Swahili word that means working together towards a common purpose, right? The Harambee Entrepreneur Alliance, it's a non-profit program. It's a platform, really. It's a platform aimed at networking and fostering African entrepreneurship by providing capital, mentorship, networks, and also support to promising African innovators and their ventures. So I actually got introduced to Harambeans. I was actually recommended to join the Harambeans. It's actually a very exclusive network to be a part of. It's by invite only. So I was actually invited by Zachariah George, who was the CEO of Launch Africa Ventures. Yes. So he was very kind enough to recommend me to join. I was initiated in the United States about 2 years ago. Yeah, a year ago or so. I was initiated at Bretton Woods. I'm not sure exactly how many Harambeans there are, but probably about a couple of hundred only. It's a very, very small, exclusive club. And effectively what we are is we're all African entrepreneurs. It's not that people who are part of this club are necessarily not a club. This part of this organization are necessarily, we're not necessarily rich or anything like that. But what we are is we are all leading the way in terms of encouraging African entrepreneurship by Africans for Africa. And that's really what the message of the Harambee Alliances actually is.
Congratulations on that. I mean, it's not it's not easy to be a part of that a prestigious fellowship. Congratulations on that. And if you could time travel, say 10 years from now, what would you want your legacy as founder in the African InsurTech to be?
I think I would want to be kind of remembered I think being remembered after you're dead really doesn't matter because you're dead, but at least for the next 10 years what I would like to be known for is to be somebody who revolutionized the way insurance is done on the continent, somebody who opened up the way for many more people on our continent, many more Africans to have access to be financially included and to have access to financial services products, including insurance. That would be enough for me. If we could have insurance in the hands of every single African.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for listening to our show this week. If you enjoyed the show, please click follow on your podcast app. That way you will not miss the next episode. If you need to take your business ideas to the next level, the good news is I work with entrepreneurs and companies to navigate challenges they may face, to pivot effectively, and to grow strategically. You can reach me at info@medgeconsulting.co.za or visit our website to explore how we can work together. Let's turn your vision into action. I'm Defuo, and you've been listening to my Entrepreneurship Journey podcast.